Obamacare violates the principles of tribal sovereignty. It's a big issue for me back home in Montana for our tribes because it requires Indian tribes to either provide health care coverage for their employees or face fines of $2,000 per employee. These penalties would prove disastrous for our tribes. The fines outstanding are seven-figure in nature. Their economies are already struggling. In many cases, tribal governments would be forced to cut essential services to their people or lay off employees in a climate where jobs are already very scarce. Last Congress, I authored some legislation that would exempt tribal governments and tribally owned businesses and organizations from this severe standard. And I'm announcing right here and right now that I'll be reintroducing that legislation again very soon. Mr. Cotter, could you provide an update on where the IRS is in levying fines for noncompliance with the employer mandate?
Yes, sir. At this point, the IRS has identified about 32,000 employers who may be subject to the penalty. Mm-hmm. We've issued 11,000 letters, just a little over 11,000 letters at this point. We have assessed, well, we've closed a little over 3,000 of those cases or letters. Of those 3,000, almost 82% have resulted in no change. It's basically the taxpayer filled out the form wrong. And so we've had a high no change rate. The amount of penalties assessed at this point is about $83 million.
So thank you. I'm impressed with you. You have those numbers right there off the top of your head. I can tell you're watching this very carefully. But to confirm, the IRS is still working to exact those fines against tribal governments, tribally owned businesses, and tribal organizations in the same way that the IRS is going after other large employers. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you know how many Native American governments, businesses, or tribal organizations would be held liable for penalties under the employer mandate for tax years 2015 and 2016?
No, Senator, I don't.
Would you be able to get that information to me after today's hearing?
So you're looking for the number of, I'll get the question from you.
Yeah, it's the number of Native American governments, businesses, tribal organizations that are held liable for penalties for 15 and 16.
I will, yes, sir.
Thank you, and we'll get the specifics as well on that, just to be clear on it. Thank you for that. I think it's important, and the purpose of that question and to get that data is so that we can better understand the scope of the employer's mandate's negative impacts to Indian tribes. And I look forward to leading the charge once again to prevent these negative impacts on our tribes. And the remedy would be the legislation I'm proposing.